Welcome to REST, which stands for Resiliency and Empowerment Seminar today. I am your host, Susan Gans, and I am a business strategist with Gans Strategic Solutions, where we operate at the intersection of human behavior and business. This show is about hearing from leaders of small and mid-sized businesses as well as nonprofits. We hear about the journeys of these leaders as well as shine a light on their organizations and, very importantly these days, hear about how they're being resilient during these very challenging times. I'm so excited today to virtually travel to California to speak with our guest, Sejal Thakkar. A little bit about her. She is not your average employment law attorney. Her more than 15 years of experience of advising clients, human resources personnel, and legal counsel regarding sound standard employment practices has uncovered a need and a personal passion of hers, which is to bring more proactive, relevant, and impactful workplace training programs to her clients and their teams. Her highly experiential, customized workshops are tailored to executives, managers, and individual contributors, bring the courtroom, as she says, to the training room in an interactive, engaging environment that favors human stories over compliance checklists. I just love that. Welcome to the show, Sejal.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for inviting me here. This is awesome.
Fantastic. So let's get started. Take us back to the earlier days of your career. How did you decide to get into law and then to switch that up to do what you're doing now with your own consulting practice?
You know, I always knew I was going to be a lawyer. I mean, this goes back to being 8 or 9 years old. I asked a lot of questions. Let's just put it that way. It was like my dad sat down at dinner one time. And she's like, she's going to be a lawyer. I mean, I had to know why for everything. And so going to law school was just already something I'd known, and I never really wavered from that at all. Another reason why I really wanted to pursue law school is because I've got a need to advocate for social justice. And so that was there from the beginning. And so law school was the perfect fit. When I started litigating though, Susan, what I found was, there was just so much going on in the workplace that I saw a little too late. When the lawsuits filed, it was too late for me to help anybody. And then the other part of it was too, is I was representing management in a lot of these cases. I was representing management, but then I felt like, wait a second, if the employee has been wronged or if they've been treated poorly, I'm like, the company should do something about that. And they should pay, or they should make that employee whole. And so I never really felt like a litigator. I felt like a conflict resolution person, to be honest with you. And so that led to just me training a lot and educating people on sort of what they should and what they shouldn't do in the workplace. And then finally, I said, I'm going to go for it. So in November of 2017, I started up my own company. And really just like you said in the intro, just to kind of help bring effective training to workplaces.
That's wonderful. And how is that transition going from a more formal structure to being your own boss? Talk to us about that.
There's pros and cons to this. Honestly, I never really thought I was going to be my own business owner because my parents owned their own businesses. And so I grew up around that. And I was like, no, that's not the kind of work-life balance I want. There was no life balance. It was all work for them. And so I was kind of always repelled by the idea. And it was never on my list of things. But I've loved it. My journey has been really beautiful. I'm glad I went for it. And now it's like, I can't imagine working for somebody else again. But yeah, there's challenges, like if you're someone that needs a regular paycheck and need to have that kind of stability and all the other stuff that comes along with being in an office environment, or, well, now we're all at home, but you know what I mean? It's like, there's definitely people can't really work, and not everybody can work from home and be disciplined and do it for their own business, so it really is defining what your lines are and your boundaries and making sure you stick to those.
Absolutely. And if you had to have a conversation with your younger self, right, what would you tell her with the perspective you have now?
That's an easy one because I say this to myself all the time, even now, because this is something, a habit I have to break. But I used to be too much of a planner, and don't get me wrong, like setting out your life plan and kind of who you want to marry and where do you want to be in your career, all of that stuff is good to motivate you. But I think I was too rigid, and I would tell myself to just relax a little bit and go with what feels good to your heart and really just enjoy it rather than just stick to a framework. So I would tell myself to chill out.
I probably could have used that advice too. And so that brings me actually to a question about empowerment, because that was a very empowering statement that you just made. So, how do you empower yourself and how do you empower others?
That is a really core thing. I'm out there when I'm training employers, I'm talking about employees need to be a part of the solution. You need to empower your employees. But in my own life, when I think about being empowered and what that looks like is I want to be valued. Like I want to feel like I am a part of a solution, that my skills, my abilities are important, that I'm a part of a decision-making process, when I'm at work. That's why I tell employers, like, you need to figure out how to give a voice to your employees and figure out what their needs are and empower them. Let them know that you trust them to make decisions. So I think empowerment is a huge areas where, we all need to work on that in ourselves, but also just organizations have a lot of work to do there in empowering their employees.
So, what do you see as the biggest challenges when it comes to employers empowering their employees? Like, there must be some sense of what comes to my mind is like letting go and having people grow and making it okay to make mistakes.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it is all about, is creating a safe, psychologically safe work environment for your employees. That's really the crux of it, where people, if something's bothering them, that they can talk about it and they're not going to be retaliated about it, or feeling comfortable to be able to tell somebody that's different than you that, hey, you might have been joking, but that's something that crosses my boundaries and here is why. And being able to have these conversations, I think what the law has done, and this was something I struggled with a lot as an attorney, when I was actually litigating, it's like organizations are doing just what's legally compliant rather than focusing in on their culture. And so, but it is possible. And that's the thing. And this is why I'm doing the work that I do, is if I didn't believe that it was possible, I wouldn't be doing this, right? I wouldn't be, but it is possible. And a lot of that has to do with empowering your employees to be a part of that solution. You cannot do it any other way. There's just no way around it.
And let's now talk about resiliency. So especially in these times, companies have had to pivot directions. People have been getting used to technology they might not have been using before. What have you seen as best practices? What's going on in your line of work?
A lot. So much. These are unprecedented times. So organizations are seeing things they've never dealt with. These were a lot of the companies that were out there saying, we're not set up to have a single employee work from home. And now they've had to transition. So there are technology issues, like you said, legal issues. There's new policies. The laws are changing constantly, to the point where I had to make a conscious decision to kind of not be a specialist in all the COVID related laws, because that's all I'd be doing is changing and there's so many different things going on from that perspective, but also then policies, right? There's new situations that are requiring brand new policies that employers don't have in place, for example, bullying. Right? If you look at a lot of organizations' sexual harassment policies, there's like maybe a paragraph or 3 lines on what bullying is. Nothing in there usually about cyberbullying or what it kind of looks like, right? So this is a huge place where I'm like, you've got all your employees working from home and you don't have your policy doesn't address what they do in these situations. That's major liability, right? So there's just so much going on, aside from just the psychological stuff. Right? Employees are scared to come back to work for fear of getting COVID, or the whole Black Lives Matter movement that's going on. Now employees are afraid of that. So it's what a difference has happened in just a few months in the work environment.
Absolutely. And that's why we need people like you to help navigate and to create those safe spaces and to inspire the conversation, those difficult conversations, I would imagine.
Thank you. It's hard work. It's hard because there's a lot of resistance that we're having to deal with. The political climate doesn't really help with everything that's going on there, and there's just a lot of misinformation, Susan. That it makes it really hard when you're trying to get people to, you're trying to turn a light on in somebody's, inside of somebody, and then they're hearing all this stuff that's, most of it's like not even true. So where you get your facts from is so important right now to survive. And it's got to be good information. So, I think you got to actually fact check things now. You can't just rely on it.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So that brings me to a question about mentors and sponsors. I would imagine at different stages in your career, you might have had different mentors and sponsors. Can you talk about that?
Sure. I mean, I can think of two people that have been just amazing. The partner at my first law firm that I work for, his name is Al De La Cruz. He opened up my career to, civil litigation, and where I got an opportunity to try cases for the first time. He really took a leap of faith on me too, because I applied for a job that I was not qualified for, because I had like 6 months of civil litigation experience and they were looking for 3 to 5 years with an attorney. But I'm like, give me a chance. I will work my tail off and I will do a good job. And he gave me that chance, and he trusted me. I mean, what a mentor. I mean, he had me trying my first trial in a year and, less than a year and a half. And most attorneys go a long time before they can even see a courtroom like that. So, it takes one person to kind of open up your career for you. And then another person I have to mention is Allison West. I mean, she's an employment law attorney, but she's been doing the kind of training that I'm doing, a lot of the sexual harassment training. She's phenomenal. And she's been doing it for over 20 some years. And she really has taken me kind of under her wing and let me do a lot of the work for her clients. And I feel like she really supported me in my business at a time where I wasn't doing so well, and so I owe a lot of just where I'm at to her.
That's amazing. And I'm so glad to hear that as an entrepreneur, you have trusted people in your world. Because as a fellow entrepreneur, I know that it can get lonely, and it's your support system that is just so key to help you navigate different challenges that you might have in your business.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you had to describe a word or a phrase that inspires you, what would that be?
I would say take a leap of faith in yourself. That would be my phrase, believe in yourself. I mean, when I started up my own company, again, it wasn't something I was planning on doing. And, I just truly believe that if you have a passion for something, that you need to believe in yourself. We limit ourselves way too much. And a lot of times we don't see our own potential because of our unconscious beliefs or what people around us are telling us. And I've seen so many people that's not go after their dream and follow their passion because they're afraid of failure. I mean, look, I've failed so many times in my life and I've learned from it every single time. And you just got to look for that kind of growth mindset, that opportunity. What am I learning from this? And just keep moving forward. Every time you get better and better at it, so just believe in yourself.
So what's your best advice for people to get comfortable with making mistakes? Because you're right, I think that stops a lot of people from moving forward, and they want to keep themselves safe. Well, what if I make a mistake?
Yeah, no, and that's a genuine fear for a lot of people, making mistakes. But the way that I look at it is, look, right now we have so many resources that are available to us. We've got the internet. You can learn about so much more by just doing some work on it. So I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. I'm not just saying you go jump into something and you're like, it's going to work. Yeah, no, it's going to take a lot of hard work, right? But go for it and use the stuff that's available for you. Like you could take so many classes online to learn about things, become an expert in these areas if that's really what you want to do. You can learn about anything. I mean, there's so many people right now with COVID, right, that are reinventing themselves, and it's magical because people are coming out of their shells in ways I've never seen before, and it's amazing. and used your resources. Like, right, we met on LinkedIn and people connected us and I've connected you to other people. I mean, use your resources and the people in your life to help each other and grow together. There's a lot of people that are willing to help right now, and just kind of support, cheerlead each other on.
I love what you said about cheering each other on and reminding people that there are resources for free, that they're
Yeah.
potentially not leveraging to the fullest extent that they can.
Yeah.
So, Sejal, what would you like people to remember about our conversation today?
Yeah, I would just say, look, I think that we are in a really, I've been saying this, that we're at a tipping point right now in the world with everything that's going on. And it's the perfect time to really deal with your core issues, and so have faith in yourself, but also do the work to address like whatever hardwiring that's been going on in your life that you kind of, because of your lived experiences, kind of look for ways to grow. Just get a growth mindset right now and help make positive changes in the world. I think that's so important. We all need inspiration too.
Yes, positive change and inspiration. I absolutely 100% agree. And I'm going to repeat what you said about, do the work, get into a growth mindset and embrace that. And it might not be comfortable at
Mhm.
first because you are trying new behaviors. And I think what you're also been saying is give yourself permission to make those mistakes and ask yourself, what can I learn from it? Instead of, oh man, and beating yourself up over it.
So true. Thank you for summarizing it. When I hear you saying it, I'm like, I said that? That's so cool. But it's true, right? I mean, look, I've gone through so much in my life. Like, I've had the cards dealt against me a lot, but resilience is one of the things, right? And so there's so many people that are struggling right now. And I just want to say, be resilient. We're going to get through this. Just use this opportunity to get out of your head, stop over analyzing things, and just do what feels good. Follow your heart. Just follow your heart right now, and that's we're all going to get through it together.
Absolutely. So, Sejal, how can people find you? Because we want them to find you.
Yeah, LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, you can follow me on there or connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the only social media platform I'm on right now. And then my website is www.tr, it's TrainXtra, so it's TrainXtra.com. And definitely connect with me on LinkedIn because, Susan, I know you can vouch for me on this. I share tons of good information and resources. Like, I'm a sharer. And so when we talk about not getting good information out there, I find out good information on the topics that I'm like talking a lot about and working on. I find good resources and I am constantly sharing it. So I'm like, hey, this is going to help a company. I'm putting it out there. So definitely, if you want like that kind of information to help your organization, or follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn.
So I'm going to spell Sejal's name, which is Sejal. This is her first name, and Thakkar is Thakkar. Her website is TrainXtra with no E, so that's TrainXtra.com.
Yeah.
Sejal, it was such a pleasure to speak with you today and hear more about the work that you do and how you got into it. And just loved your words of wisdom about embracing mistakes and learning and growing and following your heart instead of just following your head. And because sometimes our brains, right, help to keep us small.
Mhm.
And so to our audience, I hope you are inspired by Sejal's words, and I look forward to the next conversation.